Hola pincham.
Shapkujait.
Eish, jy word op minus minus groet en my camera light hier. I'm seeing you for the first time.
Hey, fine.
Okay, now tell.
Incredible. In the meaning of my camera.
Big white.
You know it's true. Yeah, it's true. If it wasn't anyone else.
And it's smart, Joe. I need Hey,
I'll tell the truth. But nice to be here, bro.
Thank you so much for honoring the invitation, my brother.
Yeah, man. I think I've told you so many times that like I'm a fan of the show. Yeah, like I was telling you before we started, I was like, I'd never imagined myself to be actually here and sitting on this chair, you know.
Crazy.
Like after like so many people that have been like sitting on this chair and people that I look up to. So it's actually an honor to be here.
It's an honor to interview you, man. Hey, bro, like I want to take it back, man. I think how I got to know you was just through your energy as a human being. Yeah. Before we add context to each other's upbringing, backgrounds, or where we were from. It might have been a couple years ago.
Yeah.
You were doing some work in Cape Town. We were at a First Thursday.
Yes.
I think it was like Art Fair weekend.
Yes.
In coinciding with First Thursday.
Yeah.
And I remember standing by the Taktaku store. You know, this is
but yeah.
And I think we were watching a set by Lazarus Man. Shout out to Lazarus Man.
Big shout out to Lazarus Man.
And you were with Rendani. I met you and Rendani on the same day.
Yes.
And I just remember turning around and recognizing your face because we had followed each other on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I think at the time I'd made this like really bad film called Mchozolo.
Bro, don't say that. You know how much I love that film.
Man.
You know how much I like really look up to that film.
And like,
but we'll talk about
yeah. And like, bro, like I was just like, who is this cute, beautiful man like walking out to me, telling me hello? And I think ever since then, bro, your energy has always like stood pure to who you are. Like Ubuntu Bako, bro, like where does it come from?
Crazy, like crazy. Yeah, man, it was actually, I had been following you from before I get to Ubuntu. I think I have been following you for a while on Instagram. I was a big fan of just like that film. And I think there was a picture that you actually took, and I asked you if like this picture is for sale, but you mized me, you know, because I was like,
what do you mean, bro? Instagram is really overwhelming.
I know.
I know.
But like I was like a big fan, and I saw that stuff, and I was like, yo, it would be actually nice to have like this piece in my place. I think you didn't respond, but eventually you accepted my request. And then like that Cape Town incident like happened, and we actually met. But going to Ubuntu, I think just like being raised in a community filled with like people that care for one another. I think that's where I get it from. Soweto, I think you realize that everyone is actually looking for each other. And I think that's something I've always just like taken to other people that I admire, even if I don't admire, but I think it's always just like really nice to be nice to another human. But yeah, I think that's us.
Man, you said Utukulele Elokshini. For those who don't know, Leauti Spinners a white city. Growing up, bro, like were you into Litiski? Were you a kid into computers? Were you a kid that was into drawing? What was your first, like, I don't know, interest, like, ukula?
Wild, right? Because like all the three things that you mentioned, I actually
did.
But I was just always like curious, and just like curious, like what can I do and like what are my abilities to do? So like I did play soccer for like when I was a teen. I don't think I was the greatest soccer player, but like I really enjoyed like playing soccer. I think like working in a team, like knowing how it is to work on a team, I think that taught me a lot. My computer was also another thing that like me and my brother did, and I think it's something that we did like, yeah, let me not get arrested, but like we used to like give people movies, write a movie, but also fix people's computers. Yeah, and I don't know what the last thing was, but like
drawing.
Oh, drawing. Oh, I think that was the the thing for me that I actually really, really enjoyed. Yeah, like primary school, high school, like drawing was a very important part of my life. Just like getting to express myself. And I think a lot of people were just like this weird kid, busy at draw and stuff. But I really enjoyed it. Like I think last year of my metric, I actually got to design the metric jackets, which is actually cool, you know. Like back then, Winzy jackets, it was actually a
Bro.
big thing.
Could you describe what that drawing or design was, bro?
I actually don't remember, but I remember it was a kid standing on a book, and this kid was tiny, but the book was big. And then there was like some writing on the book. I don't remember it.
What was your school colors?
School colors were blue, yellow, and gray.
Okay.
So the jacket was white, and then the colors were on like the arms, and on like the bottom.
Yeah, I'm
but
sure
it was-
we got that jacket for my third year.
every day and fine. But it was like actually like really cool to make. Like
Wow.
that drawing stuff actually kind of paid off, and like designing a jacket, like it sounds dumb and stupid, but I actually don't take it lightly. I think it was something that was actually cool to do.
That's beautiful, bro.
Thank you. G.
You mentioned that like you and Grootman Lako like were into computers. Who found it first? Like, did you see it from him or did he see it from you? Like, was it something that he was into that you were like, oh shit, this is crazy?
I was
Between the two of you.
It was him firstly. I think my brother's like big into music, so he had like a virtual DJ. So he used to do like a mix. He had like crazy gigs of like a house. And like him and his friend had this like record company called Paint Music. And it was just like really nice to see him just like using a computer, but like when it gave him problems, he was the person that actually fixed it. He didn't ask anyone else. And I was just like, yo, this is interesting. And I'm also just like really curious. And I was just like, oh, what can I do with this? And I think that's when I got into like designing also with like Photoshop, and all those type of like designing apps, within using like a computer.
How do you then how do you find out about advertising school?
Yeah, that's a very long story, but like you did IT. So after did matric, my brother did IT, and then like at that point I didn't know what like I want to do, and then I was just like, look, I'm just gonna follow my brother's footsteps. Like I know how to run a computer, this should be easy and stuff. Cool. Like did that stuff for like 2 years, and I was like super bored. I was just like, this stuff is not for me. I told my mom, I was just like, yo, I can't do this thing. And then I had a friend called Tesh, and then Tesh had this guy that like was running some type of church. It was a church actually, and then this guy wanted us to like design posters. So I met friends with Tesh Epostine, which were just like really creative friends also, and we could like also relate to each other. So he was like, yo, I know this guy that wants to do posters. Do you wanna like do the posters for him? I was like, yeah, cool. And then Saturday, Sundays, I'd go to that office and just sketch and sketch and sketch. So I'd sketch the work, and then I had Sean, who was actually the guy that actually took the sketchings and made them into like digital stuff, so that like we can print the stuff. Cool. After that stuff, Stash told us about Umuzi. And then Umuzi was like taking 50 people, 50 creatives, like not just like graphic designers, photographers, and I think people that did video also. I think the applications were late, and then they had already started, and then but Tesh was just like, yo, just give it a chance, take these sketches to this guy, I think they're gonna love your work. Like took the sketches, we're lucky, me and Sean, there was just like 3 spaces left because it was like the power of 50 and they wanted like 50 people, and then there were 3 people that didn't actually come to the program, and then like they saw the sketches, they saw what me and Sean were doing, and they were like, yo, we love this stuff and we think you guys would be great.
What kind of sketches were you and Sean making at the time?
I think it was more based on just like the brief on just like what the church wants, but it was more really churchy stuff. I'm bad with memories and just like what that stuff looks like. But it was like starting from like scratch, from paper and scanning into like digital and just like making that stuff come alive. But yeah,
How did the sort of like schooling environment of graphic design and arts like influence like your belief in this thing that you want to do being possible?
yeah. So like after went going to Muzi, Muzi actually took us to Vega, and we had Vega for a year. And I think like Vega for me was just like I'm actually with people that actually see me and see what I'm actually trying to do. And it was just like really nice environment of just like everyone wanting to be creative and everyone wanting to better themselves. And then within that year at Vega, there was a period of like 2 months where they were like, okay, cool. I think you guys have learned a couple of stuff at Vega. I think we can take you to like an internship in like advertising and just see how that works. And then we went to, so everyone was split into different agencies. Me and Drew were taken. Drew is a very important name, so I'll mention him now. So me and Drew, who's actually my copywriter even now, so we've been working for like 10 years, 10 and a half years now. We were taken to Network BBDO, and like we were given like a task to just come up with something cool, because at the end of the year we had a project so that everyone can exhibit. And then Network BBDO, the creative directors were supposed to help us come up with this project. And that's when I met like Juliet Honey and Suhana Gordons, which are like people that are super vital to my career in advertising. And then they helped us create this amazing exhibition that we did end of the year with the Muzi. And I think they were super impressed with like what we brought to the table. And they just like gave us another internship for like the next year. So they were just like, you guys are cool, come back for another year and then we'll take care of everything. And then a year became like 3 years, and then 3 years into like 10 years. But I've changed jobs like multiple times. But I think like there's certain people that are super crucial in me like learning advertising, like knowing what big ideas are and just like strategy and all that type of stuff.
How did advertising teach you what makes a good idea a good idea?
Yeah, I think I'm super lucky to have learned from like really good creatives. And I think like 10 years ago, like commercial advertising was really high. The thinking was really high. But just learning from like people like Brad Riley, who was like a creative. He was like that guy. I don't know if you guys will know him, but he created the first billboard that powered up like a neighborhood. So like using the sun, and then like so like those type of people were my teachers. And I think it's hard at first. They usually say like have a lot of babies, which means have a lot of ideas, and they tell you like we're going to kill a lot of your babies. Some of your babies might not even make it. So like learning from those people, teaching me to actually not love an idea but be able to come up with multiple ideas, actually helped me doing what I actually do now. Because I think those people are like super crucial for like letting me know what's a big idea and what's just like an execution. And I think like advertising has taught me like so much. I think it's a very toxic environment, but I think it's such a great school of just like thinking and just like taking something that is from a paper and just like bring it to life in terms of like video, pictures and animation or anything. So I think it's like a super crucial school for me.
That's so beautiful, man. Shout out to the School of Advertising.
shout out to the School of Advertising.
I'm interested. For those who don't know, Simphiwe is a senior art director, and the guy you mentioned earlier is Utru, and they've been working together as a team for many years. How does criticism between a work relationship like you went through like look like?
very, very healthy. Hey, I think very healthy. I think like having gone through that experience of just like seeing how people treat each other sometimes in a workspace, I think we actually learned that we actually need to be positive to one another. And I think the more positive we are to one another, I think it makes the work even stronger. And I don't think we, at some point, yes, maybe when we started off, we didn't know how to handle the relationship. But I think as time has gone on, I think we know how to say, oh, I don't think this is like a good idea, or it's not a good idea, but I think we can improve on it like this or do this to it. And I think us having that friendly relationship, but also like working together, we've been able to actually nourish our feelings and be able to tell each other how this idea is or if it works or not. So I think it's a very, really, really healthy relationship. And I'm not going to say it was just like healthy from day one, but like as time went on, as I learned Drew, as he learned me, I think we got to a space where we both understand each other and we know what we want to do at the end of the day. And I think for us, it's always just like being wanting to create like really good work. We've never wanted to take anything personal. It's always been like the work. And yeah,
That's beautiful, man. I think like it's important that we like not shy away from the fact that you're like a lover of music, and that I didn't know like the context yomculo or the love for it actually derives from your brother's interest and him having a vibe going on ikasi. How does DJing make you feel, bro? Does it give you the same joy that it gives you when you draw?
I don't think I'm a DJ. I think DJing is a craft, and I respect DJs.
I mean,
yeah,
you mixed music.
Yeah, I will.
On
I
vinyl.
select music.
Select.
On vinyl.
Yes.
Yeah, man, I love it. I think growing up, like my brother used to like buy gang records. I know every Friday, like he'd save up money, and he used to take me and his friend Usbonelo to Pezulu Records. So every Friday would make sure that we have $100 to buy the latest house track, and then we'll take a train, go to Ejozi, or sometimes take a taxi, go to Ejozi, go to a Pezulu, which was like such a very beautiful environment where it's just like all these guys that want like the latest music, but they also just like want to show off ekasi, because there were these things, amaseshi ekasi, and when you actually get to play the hottest song, the crowd is crazy, everyone's going wild. So like my brother used to be like, yazini, I'll save you 50 randi, I'll save you 50 randi, and then we're gonna buy like the latest record, and him and his friend used to play it like on a Saturday or on a Sunday, making a session ekasi. And it was great to see, man. And I think it was just like him also just like wanting to improve his craft. And I really like respect people that do that and like want to respect their craft. And I think like analog is super hard. And for him to have learned it at that stage and still is good at it, it's like such a cool thing to see. And I think those memories of just like going to a Pezulu Records have also just inspired me to also just like collecting again, when he was just like, yo, I'm done with this DJing stuff. I took all his records and I was just like this music has so much memories in my life, and I also just want to add more memories in terms of just like starting to collect and play for people. Yeah, man, I think music is a part of me creating each and every day. It's such a great way of people expressing themselves, but like also when you play, it's such a great way of just like expressing yourself. But yeah, big fan.
How do you find new music today? Like with the digging and the record collecting. Do Pezulu records still exist?
I don't think Pezulu still exists. But like what I've been doing is actually not trying to find new music. I'm actually like going like back and trying to find like really old stuff, like from the 60s and the 70s. I think it was such like a great era again of just like craftsmanship, and just like using your hands and using real instruments, not to like take away to what's happening now, but that, like those times you can hear a drum when they actually playing a drum, and it's just like finding those producers that I really really love, and then just like when I go dig, I just look at that producer. I don't know the music, but I know this person was great. So that's how I actually start finding music. Like I've been listening for the past like 9 months, listening to um Donald Byrd, who's like an amazing jazz artist. And now I just like anything produced by Donald Byrd, I take, because I love what he does, and just like I just want to study what he actually has just made from the beginning.
That's beautiful, man. Bro, like outside of like the I don't know, like the amazing like producers that you speak of that are from the 70s, in an American context or European context,
Yeah.
we were at Neighbor this one day. I think might have been for an event that you were DJing.
Yeah.
But I think the event that Spoo runs.
Yes.
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 Oh, bro, you played this crazy Kwaito record. It didn't have a name on it. Bro, like South African music is also just like I run out of words to describe it, but it's like a feeling that I simply can't describe, especially a Kwaito one, because I feel like that is like such a raw and authentic and organic expression of what young people was feeling and
Yes.
thinking at the time.
Yes.
And you played this record, bro, and that record still, like, I think about that record all the time. Like South African music, man. Like, what do you think of the archive that resides here?
Yo, incredible stuff, bro. Like super, super incredible stuff. Like I've been collecting like a lot of Hugh, and just like going back to the stuff that he made. I think there's so much stuff that's just like amazing, and that people that need to hear. I think people get to listen to more of like the surface stuff, but I think like once you start digging and just like finding the archives that are actually that made these people, and I think there's something that Buka usually says is that we shouldn't run away from like our old work. We should always like celebrate like the old work that we started off with. And for me, that's what I've also just trying to do, like finding the hue of like the first song that he made. But like going back to Kwaito, yeah, I was lucky to get like a big collection of Kwaito, which I actually find the most valuable in my whole collection, even though like I'm digging for funk in the 80s and 90s. But just like being able to play Kwaito is just like such a crazy, crazy feeling, because it takes me back to me as a kid growing up. But also it actually, the reaction of people is like literally the one thing that makes me happy, because it's like, oh shit, you can actually relate to this, you were actually in this point in time, what was happening. And I think it's super important for us to still play that music. It's super important for us to keep that music like really safely. But what I've also just been seeing is just like what is happening with like records, like these South African records are starting to be like super expensive, and stuff that we can't collect now. And I get that it's super important and stuff, but I think it's also super important that this music lives in people's homes, and memories. And yeah, man, just like love South African music, like, and mostly like Kwaito, because I think that was my era of like growing up, and also being a Pantsula when I was a kid. I think, yeah, it's like super, super, super amazing stuff. Even like now with like what the piano scene is doing all around the world, it's good to see, bro. It's really, really good. Like I think we've always been like a nation of just like music, but also dance, and I think it's vital that we archive that stuff and make people know that we actually really, really dope.
Nah, I hear you, man. South Africa is definitely like a cornerstone for really good music, even to this
Everything.
day. Yeah, everything.
Everything.
Ay, it's cool, it's cool.
Yeah.
Especially in Mpume Soweto.
The best. The
Yo,
best.
the best.
The best.
The best. I'll say that with a full heart. The best. But bro, I've always known you as like a super private person, and I always tease you about this all the time. You're out, Lena. Why are you so? And I think it's like a quality that I'm still continuing to learn about you and in our friendship. But
Yeah.
I think what was like most endearing for me to see is you giving me a call on a random Wednesday, telling me, hey man, I'm gonna finally give birth to Indwana Yamu Banana, my child. And I'm like, fuck bro, go ahead. And you were like a little bit like in your head still about it, still thinking about a lot of things. And I think, I don't know who else you were in conversation with at the time. And I think like what I've told you was just like start. And I say that to say it's been such a beautiful journey or thing to witness, to see you open up yourself and share parts of yourself that people didn't know, and the biggest part being your birth giver, your mother, and having this beautiful idea called Mama's Boy. Hey, he's on Kali Sale Outie. Hey, he's on Kali Sale Outie, bro. I get teary when I think about it. To see you open up yourself and your heart, and your birth giver and your story and your upbringing in such a beautiful way has been such a moving thing for me. And perhaps now a lot of answers, of which me always constantly like teasing you, like, dog, why are you so private? Like, I feel like everyone needs to experience a beauty. Take me through what that journey has been like, bro, sharing and giving. Because yes, we see the creative outputs that are amazing, but I think the core of it is sharing and telling your story. How's that journey been?
Wild, like really, really wild. Yeah, like for me, it was like really hesitant, like starting. I don't know why. I've always like been a hard drive artist where I do stuff and just like put it away on my hard drive. And I remember Doug like was just like stop being a hard drive artist.
Shout out Lizzie.
Shout out Lizzie. And yeah, I think like a lot of people told me when they saw my stuff, it was just like, bro, like people need to see this type of stuff. But I think with me, I've always just like put in time and thoughts into everything that I create. And I think once you start sharing it, it's just like sharing a piece of you. And what I wanted Studio Banana to be was just like, it should have impact. Like it should never like feel like, oh, you watched it and like it's gone. And I was just like really hesitant to do it because I was just like, what if people don't get it, you know? And like, what if people aren't aligned with it? And at that time, I didn't know what Studio Banana was going to be. You know, I had this logo that was just like Studio Banana. And I remember Lazi, Matibula, Grey Spaces, Bombisa, big shout out to him also. He saw that logo on my phone and he was like, yo, what is this? And I was just like, something I want to do. I don't know what it is, but like I want to do like really cool stuff and create stuff that has meaning, but tell like really important stories of like where I come from, but I just don't know what it is. And he was just like you again, like, yo bro, just start, do something, and I think it's just gonna take like a life on its own. And a week later, I remember we recorded like a music thing. Like the guys came over and I was like, this would be cool if we actually,
I remember.
you remember? And I was like, it would be cool if we just like recorded this thing and just like make it live, because I was just like, I'm really about like the visuals and seeing things such a different way, but like input from everyone was there. And I think we did that first video and the reaction was just like really wild that people were liking that stuff. And then we did another one and then people were just like, oh, this thing is cool, this thing is cool. And then the hats thing happened. I think more of those like those I don't know what to call them, but it was just like, for us, felt like church, where every Sunday we go there and we just like record music and we sing on top of the music and we mix the music. It's just like a really nice, expressive space, which I think Studio Banana is that space of just like wanting to express yourself and tell these stories. I know I'm rambling, but I just and then I remember buying a hat in Rosebank
At the market.
and it wasn't at the market. It was actually close to the Clicks, close to Father Coffee. I think there's a traveling agents thing there, and they had these crocheted hats. And then I remember taking a picture and then changing my profile picture to me wearing that hat. And I remember getting like a WhatsApp like from my mom, and she was just like, "Yo, where did you get this hat?" And I was like, "Oh, I got it at Rosebank." Like, she was like, "How much?" And I was like 120 or something. And knowing my mom, she's like super competitive, which is me also. She was just like, "Yo, I can make a better one. Let me know if you want it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, make me a better one." And she was like, "Get me wool, and I'll make you a better hat." Got wool for her, and just like, I see my mom every Sunday, and I gave her wool. And she was like, "Okay, cool." Like 2-3 days later, she was like, "Yo, done with your hat. Come check it out." I went back, or maybe on a Friday, and like when I saw the hat, I was like, "This is like
Wow,
incredible stuff." And I think like I'm 31, and like I've never seen a creative part of my mom. Like, this was like the first time like getting to see my mom creating something and making something. Like, as a single mom, I think she was just like busy trying to raise these 2 kids, that she also couldn't like get time to express herself. And I think it's something that I've always asked myself, and so it was just like where do I get this creative thing from, And I think that day when I saw those hats, I was just like, "Oh, she's the G, like she's the one I actually get the stuff from." Like, and like from there on, when I saw those hats, it's just like, "Yo, we need to sell them." I was like, I'll market them and then I'll sell them. They're gonna be cool. She was like, whatever. My mom is always just like, whatever. And then just going back into that advertising like brain of mine, driving back home, driving back to leaving my house, leaving my mom's house, going back to mine. I started just like thinking, so what do we call this thing? Like, what is it? Like, how do I make it different? But also, how do I make it like new in a way? And I think it took me like a couple of days to figure out like what it was. And I just like the name Mama's Boy, like was in my head. I was just like, "Oh, this is actually cool because my mom makes them and I'm the boy that sells them. So let's actually call it Mama's Boy." And then I was just like, it's also just super important for people to know where it comes from. And I was like, needs to say made in Soweto and hats handmade by my mom, because you need to know like this thing is made from this one mom in Soweto and is making like these beautiful hats. And then I told her that it was going to be called Mama's Boy. And then she laughed. She was just like, "You sure?" It's just like, wearing something that's called Mama's Boy, like ever gonna get a wife and stuff. But like, and I think it's that humor for me that's like, she got it. And I think that thinking of her saying, "Are you gonna get a wife?" was the thing I thought was actually cool, because Mama's Boy has always been seen as like a negative word. Like, why would it be bad for me loving my mom? So I was just like, I really want to redefine what Mama's Boy is, and not just like sticking to the gender, but it's just like this brand, just like this guy loving his mom.
Wow.
And yeah, man, I told my mom like we should call it Mama's Boy, and
one simple step started a journey of 1,000 miles.
Bro, crazy, like insane now.
No, it's really such a beautiful like thing to witness, man. And while we're still in the breath of like the inception of Mama's Point or Studio Banana,
Yeah.
it's interesting how roles reversed.
Mm.
How you were once in a place where you had mentors and people who did things, but now you birth something where you like an older brother to Ukatlejo, no Tabo. How's that relationship been like?
Yo, I
You
am not.
guys are
I'm not these homies, older brothers. These guys are dope, man.
they're dope, but I mean, maybe I should rephrase it. I mean,
yeah,
not older brother.
yeah. I
Not
hear you.
older
I hear
brother.
you. I hear you.
You know what I
I
mean?
hear you.
Yeah,
I hear
yeah.
you.
How's that been that journey like? Because you guys are like inseparable, and everyone has like a different personality.
Yes. yeah.
And excel in like different departments.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
like together, you guys make this beautiful collective called Studio Banana.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, firstly, like, big shout out to like Kedi and Tabo. I think they're a super crucial team to Studio Banana and what Studio Banana is. Yeah, man, I think everyone brings like such different roles. I think I remember when I told Kedi about it, about the Studio Banana thing and just like Mama's Boy, he was like super excited. And I think that was like a nice feeling to get someone to be excited and actually was just like, yo, I'm down to doing whatever.
Like a fuel, a battery on your back.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, I see this thing. I think this thing is going to be cool. And then we were supposed to use a different photographer. The photographer didn't like pitch up, but it was not their fault. I think it was just like a miscommunication.
Oh God.
Oh God, actually God. And then I was like, to Kedi, let's use Tibos. And then luckily, and this was a Saturday, we had already planned like going to Soweto and shoot with my mom, the first shoot. Tibos didn't know about this thing. We called him and we're like, yo, Tibos, are you free? Kedi called him. And I think that's like the magic of just like Kedi and Tibos being friends. I think Kedi being able to use his friendship to actually get Tibos to agree to come shoot with us. But I was just like, I need to make life easy for everyone. I need to get film. I need to transport all of these people, get them food. I just want them to do the work at the best capable abilities. And then Tibos was just like, cool.
Aww.
Yeah, whatever. Got Tibos. Tibos came through, drove to Soweto. Yeah, like still remember that shoot. Like my mom was super nervous. I was super nervous. Like I don't like being in front of camera. And then we shot. And I remember I was in Cape Town. Tibos sent me those pictures. Like I was in tears, like, because I was just like, oh my God, this thing is actually gonna happen. And like this is the first shoot and it looks so cool. I mean, yeah, okay, I'm gonna hold it. And then I called Tibos and Katie. I was just like, this thing was really cool. I think we should like do it all together. It would be nice. Like, I really believe in consistency and using the same people, but also using the same people to grow with. Yeah, and I was just like, yo, I want to keep you guys on my corner and I want to do this whole thing with you guys. I don't see anyone better to do this thing with. And I think like I trust in that instinct of just like wanting to use them each and every day, because I think with every project you start to see that there's actually growth in the work. And I think that's contributed to all of us. Caddy, Tibos, Laz now, Bui, all those people are like super vital to the work.
Laz and Boy being the face.
Come on, the face models.
Shout out to the family.
Shout out to that. Shout out to the family, man.
I think it's so beautiful that you're intentional with who you choose to collaborate with.
Yeah.
Goes to the relationship you have with Drew, the relationship you have with Tibos, Kat, Les, and the whole Banana family. And I'll even go to say you've also been intentional with the collaborations you've done this far. I'll mention them all and you can just speak to them.
Yeah.
I think the first one I saw was not necessarily a collaboration, but like a highlight where you had the O5 of 6 homies on Regina Reef, which is like a beautiful sight. And then you did like the beautiful kids book with Ufatema,
Yeah.
which is also a beautiful sight. And then you did a beautiful t-shirt collab with the guys from the Sobering, Kheti, Kitso, Kabelo. Sorry, I wanted to give them the full government name and not the big frat.
The names of the
Big
streets.
Wara,
The
names of the
streets.
streets. But I go to say that all of those people that I mentioned are your friends, and you have personal relationships with them.
Yeah.
And again, it's that theme of being intentional with your collaborators and like things making sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about that collaborations and those projects.
Yeah, man. Like, I think collaborations are super important, but I think collaborations are also good when you get them right. For me, it's about making sure that both brands are visible. It's not that, it's Studio Banana. It's like both brands are actually bringing something to the party, and both brands actually get to shine. And selecting people, I think it's super important. I think Studio Banana, firstly, is a very friends and family oriented like studio. I really like to use people that I can be vulnerable and emotional with. Like I said earlier on, just like presenting myself as taking a piece out of me. So it's always just like vital to get people that are actually gonna be like, okay, cool, I actually understand this thing, and I want to do this thing because I can see the bigger picture. And just like selecting people that like aren't like already known and big. I think for me, it's crucial that like I work with people that I want to grow with, but people that are super amazing and incredible. But again, going back to strategy, I think Studio Banana and Mama's Boy has a strategy, and then it's not that sometimes we don't want to collaborate with people, but it's because I think the strategies don't meet, and it's super important for me that the strategies of both brands actually meet, and we do something that everyone is going to be happy with at the end of the day. And it's not just like, oh no, it was a Studio Banana thing. I think I also, like, earlier on this year, I had a friend that I was supposed to collaborate with, and I think this was when Studio Banana was starting off, and I was a big fan of like what the homie does, but at that time I was excited but didn't think of just like the growth and strategy of Studio Banana. I was just excited by like, oh, I can actually get to work with this homie, and money was put on the table. We bought wool, things were made, and as the brand was growing, like I was just like, actually, I don't think this is a good collaboration because it doesn't feel like it's doing the right thing. And I think you can tell when something has a lot of holes in it, and I think I had to like stand up and be like, yo bro, like as much as I love you and we're friends, I don't think it works because I don't think like we aligned as these two brands, and I had to pay the homie back, but like I did that decision knowing that this work is forever gonna live in my name. And I think with me, I'm very sensitive in what I like put my name on. Like it's always important that I love what I put my name on, and if I don't, it's just gonna bug me and itch me the whole time. So super very strategic about the collaborations that we do, and the people that we wanna work with. I hope that answers your question.
It does. It does. I mean, Studio Banana is now like available at Duck Goose in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And obviously directly through you.
Yeah.
Has it been? I mean, it's also like exciting news dropping soon. Studio Banana. Okay. Well, let me hold my horses, but like It's been really interesting to see these hats exist in so many different spaces in
Yeah.
South Africa. Every time a person see a person wearing this hat, it's almost like a language that this hat has of its own. It's joyful, it's sincere, it's humorous, it's vibrant, it's South African, it's
Yeah.
Soweto,
Yeah.
it's banana.
It's
You know?
bananas.
And I think that, like, having such a strong visual language is something that's so indicative to who you are,
Yeah.
and what your mom's hands could do, because your mom still makes these hats.
Yeah.
And I think I was honored to be given a responsibility to select and curate the corrects Joburg, and well, a part of it. Shout out Bal, who's
Shout out
a good
Bal,
friend
man.
of mine, a good friend of ours, who just like told me, hey, I want you to select. I got 5 booths open. Please invite your friends that you think would fit into this category or space. And I, like, immediately, you were the first person I called. Think Simphiwe was about to step into a meeting, and he has this like etherical, like high pitched voice when you tell him good news. Belinyugi soprano.
Hey, Shimpana.
And I'm like, yo, dog, Banana is gonna be in Decorex, and what that weekend was, and having everyone, all of our homies there, and seeing your hats exist there is something that I could never fully describe in words.
Yeah.
And it was also the first time I could just see that your lady believed, just like by energy, and like how every time I'd get off stage, I would just be like, every time I come in the morning, I know where I'm gonna start first before I start my
Exactly.
day. Your command,
Yeah.
my homies. How has been the process you seeing this like really amazing hats exist in so many different spaces? And how was a trade show like Decorect, which is like the biggest trade show when it comes to design in Africa? What was that feeling like? Conversations with the team.
Yeah, I think Decorex like changed a lot for us. Like big shout out to you, big shout out to Bells, like 100% design and Decorex. Yeah, man, like firstly, like when you told me the news, I remember just like saying like it's only just like been a year. I think when you called me, I was just like, it's just been a year, like Studio Bananas exist, and like Decorex is such a international recognized event. At first I really wanted to back off, and it was like, because I like, you had already made up your mind. You were just like, and you didn't ask me. You were just like, yo, Studio Banana showing at Decorex 2024. High pitch voice. But I think having seen Wanda and Gabs showcasing last year, and just like the standard they did it at, I was just like, I'd be actually honored to actually do that, to actually come after such great people that have just been so vital in like the South African creative scene. It was like a lot of pressure, but I was just like this is not gonna happen again, probably. And yeah, it was super stressful, but I think we managed to pull off something that was actually really cool. And for me, like what I wanted to do was just like bring energy into that space. I know how that space is, where just people walk around and then they're done and they want to leave. But I wanted to bring like energy into a space, so people can just go around but know where they actually want to hang out after the whole thing. And I think that's why like the store was just like, imagine a corner store elokishini where people come and just hang and just chill out, and I think that's what for me was super important. I think it was really great to see the hats live there, and being exposed there, but like having that energy and knowing that people are just going to come and hang here and talk great stuff about the hats. And it was I don't have words like for that stuff, bro, but it was just like so beautiful, like each and every day meeting like people that I look up to, and tell you like, yo, this thing is cool. I think it was like probably like a highlight of my year. And I think like this year's been crazy, but like those 3 days were like super, super like memorable and super important to my life, because I think they also just like opened up doors for us as Studio Banana also. But yeah, bro, like that moment is up there, like super, super up there, like crazy stuff.
It was so crazy, man.
Yeah.
We opened on the Thursday and it went on until Sunday.
Yeah.
And every day wasn't less than the other.
Nah.
Every day had like crazy energy.
The Saturday was
Wow.
Oh my God.
Saturday was insane.
Saturday
Like,
was
it was wild. I hadn't seen the community of Joburg in the creative space come together like that in a while.
Yeah.
I think the last time I had a similar feeling was when we brought Broke to Joburg for the first time, and that was like 2021.
Yeah.
But to see everyone come together in support of each other was like a very humbling sight.
Yeah.
And having Boyd, having Ikawe, having Studio Banana, and having Searching for Textures there was just like instrumental to what that feeling was. And we had like a very energetic and cool corner that we called home for that weekend. And I want to know, like, was there any moment where you were having like, oh my God, is this really happening? I think when it really like sunk in for me was when I would like go for lunch, and then everybody's like wearing this hat, and then there's be like this inside joke or this conversation going around like, where's this hat's coming from? What's this hat thing? I want a hat. And then you'll see every different like types of personalities,
different hats,
grandparents, grandchildren, different hats. And it was like a big theme of what that weekend was. Like, man, like crazy.
It was wild. I think for me, it hadn't hit me like the from Thursday to Sunday happened, and then I was still just like high from that, and it hadn't hit me. And then I remember T was sending me this video that like rounded up that whole thing, and then I think that was the time where I was just like, oh my God, like we actually did this, you know, and we actually did it to at a level that I was actually super happy with. And I think if you've seen that video, I think it entails like that feeling and just like that moment that was lived there for those 4 days. And again, like you said, like I don't have words for that week, bro. It's like it's like it's dreams come true, you know. And being a kid from Soweto, you never think you'll showcase Essential. When I told my mom, I was just like, "Aye, man, just see Essential." You know, she also is just like, this is insane, you know. And I think, that week is again super high, like super up there. And like moments that I've lived and experienced.
That video was so beautiful, bro. I think I was sitting like in my grandmother's house in East London. It was like maybe like 2 days after the funeral, and I saw that video, bro, and just tears came out my eyes. But I was like, wow, this is all worth it.
Yeah,
bro.
it was.
Probably
Yeah.
Go
watch that video.
Yeah, bro. And that video is just like a small window into what that weekend was, you know? Can't necessarily like depict like the actual feeling, but like shout out to Dick Ricks and 100% Design and Bal, who formerly used to work there, who really gave us the keys to express ourselves. Your efforts or platform to express ourselves never goes unnoticed.
This is true.
Another important part of Studio Banana is the film aspect of where you guys tell these amazing stories. And you've had this beautiful screening at Stanley 44 a couple of months ago, and your recent one with Design Week at Design Week, both Cape Town and Joburg. What is that process like? Exploring like making films now. It's not just the hat, Started off as like an enjoyment and like an appreciation for music and recording it, turn into hats, turn into a book.
Yeah.
And now it's like full blown, like, archival stories of like what happens in our households, and
Yeah.
also just like as young people or as South African people or artists pume elokishini.
Obvious.
Yeah.
I think the hats were a vehicle for us to start like Studio Banana, but also like I think like visuals have been super important in my life, and just being an art director, like I'm always exposed to visuals and also always like making ads. But the movie aspect of it was just like Tibos is like really an incredible director, and he really wants to make films. And I think again, Studio Bananas are very open to doing stuff, and I'm always willing to, if Tibos wants to do a movie, let's do a movie. If Caddy wants to do a radio show, let's do a radio show. I think it's a very open, expressive place where people get to come and just like express their ideas. But I've always just also been into like video, and I think having Tibos and Caddy, they like insisted that we start shooting like movies and telling long form films, but tell films that are actually relatable to us, and people that look like us. And I think for me, that was just like, oh, why would we not? I think it's like making films is so hard, but I think just like the process of just seeing it complete, and like again, like from a piece of paper, and then seeing this thing that's 7 minutes and we telling these stories, I think it's such a beautiful thing to see. Yeah, we showcased, we did 3 actually short films this year. Showcased the first one, well, the first one was just like on IG, and then the second one we did like a screening at Bioscope, which was to actually define what Mama's Boy is to us as a studio. And then the third one was Design Week, like had approached us and they were like, yo, do you want to shoot a film, and do you want to like showcase it in Cape Town? And I was like, yo, why wouldn't we want to do that? And I think again, that story that we did for Cape Town was just trying to also redefine what people think of like taxi drivers and like what they do as people. And I think that's always been such an important aspect to the studio, of just like trying to redefine things that society thinks is cool or isn't cool. But back to the film parts, I think we love making films, and I think it brings us a really joy in doing that stuff. But in doing everything, I think it's getting that opportunity to make stuff for us is always cool. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, definitely it does, man. Definitely it does, bro. Do you feel like you're relearning to get to know your mom?
Big time. Yeah, like big time. Yeah, like going back to that statement of like, I've never gotten to see my mom happy. Like, well, she's always been happy, but I think like her seeing the hats like makes her happy. I think her going to Santon with us and being in that expo, she was like one of the first times she actually saw so many people wearing these hats, and I think she was just like, oh, actually this thing is a thing, because for her, she just gets to makes these hats, and I pick them up and then I just go sell them. And she's always just like, it's crazy that you take all these hats, but I never get to see people wearing these hats. And I think getting to see her at the Decorex Shandy's was such a great emotional moment, because for her, she's just like, I actually never get to see people wearing the stuff. And for her to witness that moment and seeing multiple people wearing the hats. I think for her, she was just like, this is a lot. And because for her, each hat has a feeling, how she was feeling when she was making it. And she was like, oh, I remember that day when someone was wearing it. So I remember that day I was mad from work and I made this color because like it represents I was angry and all that type of stuff. So like getting to hear that and getting to make her happy through this creative thingy is so cool. You know, me and her send each other TikToks all the time now. Yeah, and we get to actually just like communicate more and more. I think when I moved out of home, I think there was didn't communicate as much because I just see her on Sundays. But like now, like communication is strong through like phone, like texts, you know, and also just like getting to work with her and just like designing with her, such a cool thing. And I think I wouldn't do it like with anyone else because I think she's dope. Like she's really really dope. And I'm glad that I'm getting to learn like this part of her. And it's just been like a great like a couple of years, man. Yeah, so shout out to his Coco.
Shout out to his Coco. For the ladies, that's where Giddy smile. Surely it has a genesis. Hi, pig.
Don't start.
No, it's beautiful, man. So like really like beautiful to have met his Coco and really like, you know, get to know your anchor and where this beautiful mind comes from. I think it's also like really lovely to hear you speak, because you don't usually speak teta, but like not kakulu. And it's really beautiful to see that like you speak best when you are being creative, and it goes to show with where your paintbrush, which is Studio Banana, and where it's going, you know. So tell the world, bro. Like, so you're really moving to Cape Town?
Hey, yo, don't lie to people, bro. Don't lie to people. No. Not moving to Cape Town. I love Cape Town though. I think like
for sure.
the creative space there is so good to see. And I just love the fact that you guys have like multiple options. And not just like create the creative, well, it is the creative field in terms of just like having multiple restaurants to choose from, having multiple stores to buy from, but also just seeing how it just looks like Cape Town is thriving with like creativity.
We have like some of our fondest memories there. Yeah, like just like pure joy.
Yes.
Where, you know, like as the days going, you're like, fuck Batandwa. Like, yo, fuck Simphiwe. Like, yo, nah, the Cape Town.
Yo.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yo.
And it's not even from like a materialistic or a luxury point of view. Just like riding bikes.
Just like cycling.
Riding bikes.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's it, bro.
Or eating fish and chips.
And we're happy.
You
like,
know?
Super happy.
And
yeah, but like really love it. But at a dose also. You
know? No,
I
absolutely.
think
absolutely
2 weeks is enough. But I think like, well, hopefully, and I pray, it would be nice to have like a store, you know, whereby Studio Banana actually gets to live in Cape Town also. Because I think like the reception from Cape Town has also just been incredible in terms of just like the brand and supporting the brand. But not moving to Cape Town. But
no, for sure. I was just pulling your leg
shout
over
out
there.
Kapstad.
Shout out Kapstad. I think like one of the biggest like signifiers, or I think like you remember when for the first time, for one of the first few times I came to Joburg, I crashed at your place.
Yeah.
Damn. R.I.P. to that spare room. It's now a studio.
Hey, it's a studio now.
Bro. But like I think one of like the biggest or one of the biggest like poignant memories for justifying my move to Cape Town from Cape Town to Joburg was when we were screening Ukangela, and this new place that we all like love and enjoy. We're still like a unknown idea, which was like neighborhood.
Yeah.
Shout out Les, shout out Mvelo.
Velo,
You guys really put
Amanda,
something. Amanda, the whole
team.
the whole team. You
Yeah.
guys really put
Kind
a great idea together to host us and have us and create new memories there. But I mentioned a place like neighborhood because it's such a important place for us.
Yeah.
Important place for the culture, and also for music. How is like the inception of like a spot like Ineba, Tavernier to like really like make the experience of enjoying music and also meeting new people in like a post-COVID Joburg.
Yeah. I think for me, like, again, going back to like expressing yourself and just always being allowed to express yourself. I think Neighbor is that place. I think I've gone to Neighbor and I played Amarasta, Amachamani, and like no one judged me for playing reggae. People had a good time, and I think I love it for that. I love it that people can come at 9 and they play like rest in peace Quincy Jones, but you can play Quincy Jones and it's like everyone loves it, you know. And I love that mindset of just like, bro, the space is just made for you to express yourself. And I think as it grows, you get to see people actually loving it. And what I love about Neighbor is just like, it's never like the same crowd. It's like different people all the time. And I think that's actually a good thing to see, that people aren't always there, but people are actually curious to see what's actually happening there. And yeah, man, like, big shout out to that team. I think sometimes it's always hard when you start off with an idea that's like left aligned. But when you start actually seeing it come to life, I think it shows how much culture there is at Neighbor, but also just like how much freedom and expression there is. So really, really enjoy the place. I think it's going to be a very important spot in history, and in just culture in SA.
Beautiful, man. What are you like excited for in the next sort of couple years in this chapter of 30s?
Yo, what am I excited? So I don't live in the future. I don't usually say, oh, in 4 years time I want to have this and this. I think I'm a person that lives like in the now and wants to be in the now. And I think the 30s have been like really cool. I think I'm at a spot where I know what I want. Sometimes I don't, but I think I'm also just like getting to know myself right now. But I think just like having this platform, I just like really wanna like do stuff, man, with my friends, with my family, and just create stuff that people will always see as like, oh, I can relate to that and I can see a part of myself in that. And I think for me, and just like what I've always said to the team, is just like, people need to see themselves in what we do. And I think within all the work that we're trying to do is just like getting people to like be like, oh, I feel that's kind of like deja vu and stuff. But I just like want to make stuff, bro. I wanna make more than just like hats, like bags, you know. Like, I want to go into like furniture. I want to like so many things, like making speakers. Phil, let's have a collaboration.
Shout out Phil.
Shout out Phil.
Shout out Kramer.
Shout out Crowd, the best. But like so many things, bro. Like, I want to open up a cafe. Like, I want to do stuff and make stuff. And I don't want to box myself in being this guy that just like makes hats with his mom. I just really want to create stuff that people will enjoy and say, yeah, that was cool.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
What in your life makes you feel most present?
Crazy. I think when I go to Soweto, I think every time I go to Soweto, I always feel like there's so much life you know, people are living, and I just love being in that space. I think I'm super privileged to have moved out of home and live on my own, but like it's cold, you know. I'm a suburbs banda. Like there's no people that are actually living. I think it's people will see you, they won't greet you, you know. And I think when I go back home and like I'm in that space, I feel alive and I feel like I'm with people that care about me. And I think it gives me so much energy to do stuff, but also to document where I come from. Like growing up for the longest time, like I hated Iruf as a white seat because kids used to call it itombolo as a
Your kids are the worst, bro. Kids are horrible people.
you know what I mean? And then you're like, and then like, and then I miss Itombolo, dog. Like I miss Itombolo. I'm like, fuck, Itombolo gumnandi. And I think that's why, like with the stuff that we shoot, I want to represent Itombolo. I want to represent where I come from, because I think those are certain things that actually like fulfill me and make me happy and give me energy to do what I do.
I think it's safe to end it on that note, brother. Was there anything else that you wanted to get off your heart? Perhaps a message to your younger self.
Message to my younger self. I think you're doing well, man. I think you're doing it. I think my younger self will be happy that I'm doing it. I think, like I said at like beginning of the interview, I was like, I've always been a hard drive creative where I take stuff and put it in my hard drive. No one has to see it. But like, I think my younger self would be happy to seeing me sharing stuff and sharing things that actually relate to me and things that I grew up with. And yeah, man, I'm just like proud of myself. Like I never tell myself that I'm proud of myself. But like being in the space with you, also being in this chair, I think it's one of those things that are super vital and important. And I think I am super proud of myself, but also just like super proud of like the people that I work with, that they trust me and they want to see this dream and like being fulfilled. Super lucky and privileged to have Tibos and Caddy. I think they, if I could, Bings about Begala and we all talk. But like, yeah, man, I'm proud that I'm actually doing it, because I think it like expressing yourself comes with so many opportunities that I didn't think were gonna come my way. And I think it's just like it's a Nike slogan, but just do it, man. Just like start, and then I think it happens. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you, the brother.
Thank you, the brother.